Alright, we're starting. This is my recording of my DoJ clear. Play BXC, it's the ship I first started with, and I really wish I'd stuck with, well, I'd initially picked BL, because I think if I picked BL I would have gotten the clear a lot easier, and it's something I want to swap to, or try playing, at least for one round mode. But the moment you start with BXC, it's really hard to go backwards and play one of the weaker ships, or one of the ships that feels weaker anyway. Yeah, this is stage 1. I don't really chain it at all. I don't need to. I used to go for the double hyper strat on the boss. I don't know if I do that in this clear. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But yeah, this is my first clear. It is a really ugly run. I would like a prettier run, but you know, the first clear you get is the first clear you get, and at the time I was resetting all day. I couldn't even make it out of like stage 2 without dying twice. But this was the final run that I had time for. It was about 9 PM and I wanted to watch a movie, so I just had to play this out no matter what happened, and there was a moment later on where I definitely would have reset if it happened to me. Funnily enough, I said the exact same thing with my Akai Katana Shin clear. I had gotten really close and then like 2CC'd, got into the final boss multiple times and unable to make it with the Akai Katana Shin. Same thing happened in DoJ. The day after that, I wasn't able to make it out of the early game, and then on the final run that I had time for where I no longer had the ability to reset, I had terrible deaths early on, and then I still couldn't. So I think that's a product of two things. One is that you probably shouldn't reset that much. There are many runs that are viable. They may have a low chance of success, but there still is that chance. And so maybe part of it is that. I think the other part though is that the way I practice these games is I practice the final few stages really hard. Like more than half of my total playtime in DoJ is in the last 8 minutes of the game. So because of that, I think to myself that I need a lot of resources for the end because it's the hardest part. But in reality, it's the bit that I'm the best at. And so I should have more confidence in myself. Anyway, I didn't go for the... Why'd I pause? I paused. Who gives a fuck? I probably had a phone call I had to answer or some shit. But yeah, DoJ is an interesting game. It is actually the reason I got into shmups at all. I saw a tweet of its box art, which is, I mean, an incredible piece of art, and it was like, happy birthday to the greatest game ever made, and I looked it up and it was a fucking shoot 'em up that looks like this with dinky pixels, and I was like, I wonder why people are so passionate about a game like this. Like, I never was really aware of that. I tried playing it a bit. I was like, okay, this music and art is cool, but I don't think I'd ever beat a game like this. And I eventually got a DoDonPachi clear, but DoJ felt insurmountable to me, and I just kind of forgot about it. Then when the Switch port came out, I got into it, emulated. I didn't really like the input back, but I still played it a lot. In about 15 hours, I was able to get the first 3 stages down, but I felt that stage 4 was literally impossible for me. I felt like I was never going to beat it, and so I stopped playing for a while. Then in like the second half of this year, that was like when the Switch port came out. Up until like January was when I played a lot. The second half of this year I started playing a lot more shmups, and you know, I had a lot of fun with the Akai Katana Shin, with Devil Blade Reboot, with Mushihime Sama, and I just felt like it was time to go back to DoJ and see if I was able to get it down. I was able to, it took me about 20 hours to get stage 4 and 5 down. But I found that the difference going back to it after getting a few more clears under my belt was that where before it was kind of incomprehensible, even something like the turrets in stage 4 were incomprehensible to me. Now that I had more experience, I wasn't able to do them straight away, but I was able to see what needed to be done and figure out a way to get them through. So I didn't necessarily, it wasn't like I built up my dodging skills, it was actually, I built up the problem solving skills of how do I approach a section like this. Like I was able to break it down into, these are the aimed bullets, these are the fixed bullets. It was easier for me to learn timings, this is around about when the Zarko's coming. And yeah, stage 2 boss, I do the hyper bomb strat and carry the bomb over from the cabinet. I die on this boss a lot, but I chalk it up to RNG. I always think about this one YouTube comment I read where this guy was in an arcade in Japan and he saw a guy, some player, die on the stage 2 boss, first loop, and then the next run, 2 all the game. And it's like even the super players are gonna fucking get owned by the SWAT monster, dude. But anyway, upcoming is stage 3. This is, I think, the best tutorial in shmups. I think stage 3 is this beautiful thing where it feels really difficult, at least when I first played it, but it taught me how to play shoot 'em ups. And at this point I already had a DoDonPachi clear, but that was just a game where I shot things and dodged and used bombs when I got scared. This is like the first time I ever really fucking... I mean, I'd gotten a Mushihime-sama clear and some Tohos, but I was just shooting things and dodging. This is where I first learned how to route. It's like, okay, I gotta go to the right here, and then I gotta swing to the left to make this bit easier. That kind of target prioritization and figuring out a route. Especially in the second half, I find that the second half of the stage with all the bullet cancels, it is like, once you know it, it becomes really consistent. More so in a way that other levels are. Like, once you know it, you basically don't make a single dodge in the entire level. I use a hyper heal, so I cut to the right to kill the Zarkos that are about to swap in, and then I point blank. Here, my Q is typically when the claws open, but I was off angle, so I'm gonna bomb soon. I do this because I'm getting a bomb later, so it's a free bomb. Here, you have to make a few tiny dodges in order to be able to get to the rush. Actually, that section scared the shit out of me when I started playing Black Label, because I started on White Label where there's just a safe spot. So here's where you have to learn how to make cutbacks. I was stuck on there for like an hour until I figured out, oh, I have to make a cutback, okay. Yeah, it's a lot of just misdirection and bullet cancels. I know people who delay destroying the big turret in order to like get a safer bullet cancel or something. I think it's stupid. Just kill them as soon as they appear. Okay. Shit, man, I don't got nothing to say. It's the game. Like, this is just... This bit is, it's the same every time. There is this upcoming section. You cannot kill these guys before they shoot. I think they have invuln. And with here, there is the safe spot, but I think it's more consistent to dodge, for some reason. Like, the safe spot just feels semi-random, but when I'm standing, when I dodge, I can just dodge. This bit fucks me off. I'm pretty sure I die here. You're supposed to wait. So like, you get the cancel, and then you wait up here. I did not wait, I moved straight away, and so I got clipped. If you wait, you can misdirect the bullets. So I died. I told myself I was allowed to have 1 death before stage 4. So that meant typically dying on the stage 3 boss, but if I died earlier and I made it through the stage 3 boss without dying, then I would allow the run to continue. Of course, not allow the run to continue, because I was going to play this through no matter what, but I wouldn't feel disheartened. This boss is fun every time. It is fun absolutely every time. It is, for my money, the best boss in a shoot 'em up ever. And the thing that is really smart about it is it's almost uncheesable. So the scariest pattern is this one coming up, right? It is very, very difficult to not have to dodge that pattern twice. You have to spend an enormous amount of resources. They knew that. They gave it the exact amount of HP in order to ensure that we're going to have to deal with these things multiple times. I always bomb. I always spend at least 1 bomb. And the other thing was, I didn't really care about that death earlier because I didn't have any bombs and it was my first death. And the first death you only carry 1, so it's like, who cares about losing 1 bomb, you know? We're getting up to the turret section. This is the section that made me quit the game when I first started to play, but now it's not so bad. Supercross. I know some people like Hazy Levels sticks at the bottom and says it's at Space Invaders level. Fuck that. I get up close. I only move back when I want to make a dodge through there. And the way I route through this section is I go towards the most recent Zarko wave. See, I go to the left because it's going to swing around to the left, and then I go to the right. The blue needle bullets are what kills you. Sometimes, when you're trying to learn a section, you know, if you just look at this, you think it's going to be the big turrets that kill you. But actually keep note when you die while learning, what is killing me? And what I found is it was always the blue needles that were cornering me, that were killing me. And so it's like, okay, well if that is the thing that's killing me the most, then that's the number one priority. And it doesn't matter if it's the big enemy or the small enemy, whatever's killing you the most is the thing you should worry about the most. I think when people play that section, they get way too worried about the cannons and the tanks, and so they find themselves cornered a lot. But just focus on the Zarkos, move wherever they're moving. This is the roundabout section. I'm very off route here. I practiced this probably for like 5 hours. Total practice time in this 1 minute of game. And I get very lucky here. I'm very off route, but I'm able to survive. You almost always will have a hyper at this point in Black Label, unless you really fucked up in the turret section. So like, even if you get off route, that one moment where you get back on route, like that one moment where you can hyper, you can easily go back. I fuck up here and I don't kill the middle one, but that's fine. I have the BXC spread shot, and so most of these things are able to die fairly easily. The biggest concern there is making sure you kill the tanks in the middle, which I do, and you build up such a juicy chain here of like 200, 300 hits just by playing this section normal. If you hyper, you can get to like 500, right? And so it's a really fun section, especially if you go into it with the hyper after doing the section normally. I completely fuck up this mid boss. Look at that. I just fuck it up like an idiot, and then I have to freestyle, and then I get owned. This is the worst I've ever done this, and I was absolutely heartbroken at losing 2 lives there, especially because up until this point I've been playing really well. I put myself in a terrible situation because this back half of stage 4 is the bit of the game that I'm worst at. I'm terrible at these rail cannons. I always get stuck. And more importantly, the cannon at the end, the big one, the set piece, I always fucking die there and I don't know why. Like, it's a section that feels really random to me, even though it's the same every time. I'm unable to get it consistently down. I have to hyper earlier than I like here, but I'm able to just intuitively dodge everything. And because I have a hyper going into this section, I'm able to kill it super fast. So that's really great. Because you get such a big chain here, and because you get 2Ds, you're able to build up quite a bit of hyper gauge. If you're fast, you can get those 2 as well, but I didn't. Onto the stage 4 boss. This is one where I just spend a lot of resources. It's the 3rd pattern at the start, and it is the final pattern where I like to bomb. With this first pattern, if you're playing B, you have to get comfortable with looking to the laterals, that's the far left and far right, and using shot to get over there in time. Because if you're just trying to laser, a lot of the times you'll get stuck in the middle and pinned down, where a lot of the openings are on the left and right. That section, that pattern is so fucking scary with the overlapping circles. And then this is very standard stage 4 shit. If you want an explanation of this kind of strategy, check out Pan's video, or like most DaiOuJou clears will do the same thing. So there's nothing special there. One thing that I had to learn the hard way is when you go for this bomb, go to the right, because the 4 wheels from the final phase will swing out onto the right, and so you'll ensure that you kill the boss in time. So if you go to the left, sometimes he'll live and you have to dodge some bullets in that final phase, which is really scary. Onto the final bit, I normally hyper like straight away, if I can, but for some, I just got nervous, and so I didn't hyper straight away. And I fuck up the chain as well. My scoring route needs me to score well in the final stage. If you look, I'm at 45 million, so I haven't got that extend yet. I hadn't picked up the B earlier, so I had to go get it, which means I lost the chain. Whereas normally I would hit like a juicy 300 or something. And I really like this final tank. People don't kill it. I kill it depending on my hyper gauge, because I really want to hyper for the upcoming boss. So if I've got a hyper in stock, I don't worry about it. If I need one, I kill it, and it'll almost always fill me back up. So we use the hyper displacement strategy. I feel real bad for this guy. It's a really cool boss design, but he just gets fucking punked in every game. Like in DDP, there's the stage 4 glitch, and then in this and in DFK, you just use the hypers to like fuck up his idea of where he is. It's really funny. Here's the beehive section. I'm going into it with no resources, so I'm forced to dodge, and I make a lot of really fucking sexy dodges in this section, but I do end up taking death. However, dying in the beehive section is like, I've seen Tool, fucking Asagami dies in the beehive section. You know what I mean? And that motherfucker's too old this game, more than I've had out dinners, and he doesn't. I fucked that up so bad, and I'm somehow able to swing it through and make a crazy dodge there. It's a beautiful thing when you get really in sync with your movement in a shmup, where like, you're able to swap between shot and lasers with the right times to get to places at the right speed. That shit is so much fun. I've died to that red bullet before. Like a red bullet. I've gone through the run, the closest run I had before this. I got through the beehive section, no deaths, no resources spent, pure dodging, and then I died to a random red bullet, and I was so sad. Yeah, this boss is literally free. I love the way it syncs up with the music. It feels so fucking good. And this is... I love these little interludes in this stage. It happens before the beehive as well, where it just sends a bunch of aimed bullets at you that go left and right, because it looks scary, and it feels like you're being really cool when you dodge it. But it's so easy, like it's the easiest fucking thing in the world. Here's the big fat fucker. I don't care about him. I have died to him before, because you go for the safe spot and then you just get clipped or whatever, who cares. Pick up this B, just for the hyper cage, and then we have a free bomb, and I'm just gonna, you know, sometimes I find if you get too worried about using the free bomb at the right time, you end up not bombing at all and dying. So I just use it there and pick it up, who cares? I was in a VC with some friends at the time, and I was like, listen, at this point this run is possible, but if I do it, it's because I'm fucking the greatest gamer of all time. Like, I knew it was possible. If I just played well, and I stuck to my route. Here I got completely off route, and I didn't kill the left tank in time, and so I have to make some very scary dodges and go back, but I get it done. This section is... I thought this section was fucking impossible, to be honest. Like, I could not comprehend how to deal with all of this bullshit. But I'm able to find some lines. I bombed there because I'm scared. But there's a good bomb. I'm going through the hard sections without bombing, and I'm bombing in the easy bits, but on this day, I was dying to the easy bits. Here I'm going to have to bomb because I'm off route. I should be on the left. But I ended up on the right, and so I have to bomb. Sometimes, I think I talked about this in a Kaikatana as well. You practice a section 100 times, and then you know the route perfectly. And then look at this reaction hyper. I was proud of myself for reacting. Not happy I had to hyper, proud of myself for reacting. Sometimes you practice a section 100 times, and then on a run, you fuck it up and you have to bomb, and you feel stupid. But the reality is, the only reason you knew to bomb there, the reason you knew you were going to die ahead of time, is because you are able to know what it looks like when you're not going to die. And so you shouldn't feel bad. You should feel good about those bombs. You should be like, my practice has paid off because I was able to recognize when I was off route where I otherwise would have died. So here we're already up to the final boss. Fuck, this game is really short. It feels long when you're playing it, but when you watch it, it's so quick. I suck at this pattern and I hate it. But it's the hardest part of the boss for me. But overall, I'm playing pretty well. My problem is I get a hyper around about now, and it cancels all the bullets on the screen, and then it changes where they are, and this fucked up my route. I have a very specific plan where I go through the bullets in a certain order to not have to bomb this final section, but because of that hyper cancel, I lost track, and I ended up in the right corner, which is the death spot, and I get so lucky. I got so fucking lucky. I slammed the keyboard because I was so excited, and so I accidentally put the game into double speed. There we are, that's the run. Thank you for watching if you did. There's not much insight, but I'm very happy with this. Alright, thank you very much.